I think it's me now. So we're going to play a game because I really like games. So in this game, this is going to be a demonstrational game. We'll use it, so I really need participation. I'm going to give you guys a statement. And if you agree with this statement, if you agree with the statement or if you like this statement, I want you to raise your hand and keep it raised. I'm going to pause mid-statement and then give a condition, okay? And that'll help us watch the hands as they stay up or go down. Okay, the first question is this. You can have the ability to fly. Do you want the ability to fly? If you do, raise your hand. How cool would that be? You could soar up there with airplanes and all that. Okay, keep your hands raised. Now, here's the condition. What if you could only fly as long as you held your breath? As soon as you couldn't hold your breath any longer, you would plummet back down to earth. Okay, now we still have a couple brave people. Excellent. Let's do another one, okay? Do you want, this will be a different one. You can put your hand now, Jim. You can read people's minds, okay? This will make you a really good poker player. Men, you can finally understand what your wives are thinking, okay? Anybody want to read minds? Jim, proudly. Nice. Okay, but what if you could only read minds, but what if while you're reading minds, you have no control over your own bodily functions? Jim, keep it high. Oh, okay. Yeah, keep it proud. There we go. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next one. Your children, your grandchildren, and or your best friends will visit you whenever you want them to. They'll stay however long you want them to, and you can get them to do whatever you want them to do, including take naps, okay? That seems like a good thing. But what if your spouse or significant other could never see that person? Never see or hear them? No spouse, no significant other. Okay, awesome. Okay, I've got one last question. You have the opportunity to save a massive group of people. Their lives are in danger and you could rescue them. Would you save somebody if you could? Okay. But what if it meant you had to kill all of the cats in the world? I'll put a second hand up. Yeah? Yeah, there we go. That's the enthusiasm I like to see. Okay, that's the last question we have. I like to think about that question because I would definitely kill the cats. But when I start focusing it back on me, would I be willing to sacrifice myself for a massive group of strangers? I know of at least one person who did. Well, you see, life is a bunch of questions. They're not questions quite like these that I gave you. They're probably a little more realistic. But we're constantly faced with questions, choices, dilemmas, problems. And we always ask ourselves, what if? I could ask her out, but what if she says no? I work hard and I spend money wisely, I save, but what if I don't have enough money for retirement? What if I am not good in my promoted role? What if something happens to my significant other? What if our church ceases to exist? You may have noticed that quickly these questions start taking a negative road. But isn't that what we do as humans? We tend to focus on those negative things. We can see the possibilities, the positives, all the amazing things. Sure, I could ask her out, and she could say yes, and we could live happily ever after. But we tend to focus on those consequences. But what if she says no? Will it ruin our relationship? Will we no longer be friends? I don't think I can lose that relationship. I can't take that pain. When we begin to focus on these consequences, when we focus on these pains, these failures, the setbacks and heartaches, it's that moment when we start going down a very dark path. You guys have seen that Star Wars is coming out, or has come out. It's in theaters right now. And in the spirit of Star Wars, let's look to Yoda. He's a very wise guy. Yoda said it well. Fear is the path to the dark side. Doesn't sound like a Yoda quote, does it? All the words are well placed, they're in order. It doesn't sound like Yoda, but George Lucas, who wrote Star Wars, the prequels, wanted this to be very important and very clear. Fear is the path to the dark side. Later, Yoda comes in again with his usual jumbled words. If, once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will. Once we begin to focus on these fears, we don't see anything else. We only see the consequences. But fear has a strong grip on us, doesn't it? We see fear in every single thing we do. We see it in advertisements, right? If you don't take this little blue pill, you will never have as successful of a relationship as that couple smiling at us. Yeah. Advertisement companies, insurance companies say if you don't have the right kind of insurance, you will forever be strangled by debt. We see it in the news. The news tells us we're not allowed to eat red meat anymore. What? Red meat? And they tell us that gang violence is absolutely everywhere, that ISIS is knocking on your back door, just waiting for you to make a misstep. Our country has fears too, right? Our country has fears that we're going to elect the wrong idiot. And these political parties, all the political parties, play on some kind of fear. Global crisis, falling behind in education, or simply not being the best country in the world. And we've even heard fear from our churches. It used to be fire and brimstone, right? Now it's that our church's numbers are declining, or that our budget is inflated. Fear isn't everything. It's all around us. It's pervasive. So let's look back at that list we just made. We said our relationships. We love our significant other. We don't want them to go away. We don't want to lose that person we love. We love our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our grandchildren, our children. I think that was our list. We don't want them to go away. We want them to be here indefinitely around us. We don't want anything bad to happen to them. We want their futures to be free from violence. And we love our freedom, right? ISIS tries to threaten it. We love our God, and ISIS tries to denounce him. And most of the people who are afraid of this upcoming election love this country very much. We fear without a doubt losing the things that we love the most. Our fears come when we begin to focus on the what-ifs and assume the worst. We assume the worst and we discount any possible good thing that could come from it. We assume that we will only lose things that we love. In other words, the consequences begin to far outshadow any possibilities. I had the opportunity this week to have a conversation with a choir member. She sings alto. I'm not sure if many of you get to those services, but she sings alto, ever present. Her name's Jean Dams. Jean is an author and has published quite a few mystery novels. I believe the number of books is around 23, but I know that there are more on the way. Quite a few. And though she primarily focuses on murder mysteries, she's looking to dabble in something new. Jean's at the very first stages of writing a book on conflict, particularly intercultural conflict. And when a friend suggested to her that she write it from the Muslim point of view, she was captured by the idea. How difficult would that be? How much of a challenge? And since she wanted to do that, she thought to herself, that's difficult, especially since I've never been a 9-year-old Muslim boy. So she reached out. She was on a quest to get information, to gain a knowledge. And she reached out to her family, and they invited her for a dinner. Afterwards, the father pulled her aside, and they just talked. They talked for a long while. And after a moment, he said to her, "Are you afraid?" What he was really asking was, are you afraid of me? Are you afraid of us? Are you afraid of my family? Are you afraid of all Muslims? He was quick to draw a line between ISIS and Islam. They were not Islam. They weren't even real Muslims. They weren't the same people. There was a line between them. But he was really asking an important question, a crucial question for us. Is ISIS winning? Are you afraid? At the root of this conflict is fear. But isn't that at the root of all conflicts? When I was a little boy and my brother was going to be born, I was afraid that he was going to get all the love and attention. I did not like him. I tried to beat him up. But if you know my brother, he's about this tall now, and so that didn't work well for me. When I got a little older, I was afraid of people disrespecting me. I didn't want them to take away my self-worth, my self-esteem, my public image, my reputation. So if someone challenged me, I took it. Stared him down. And it's kind of the same thing that happens in this church, right? When we talk about change, we're afraid to lose an aspect of the church that we love so much. And it's in this context. It's in this context that we're called to love. We're called to a radical love. Here's your lesson for the day. Radical. We think of the word radical and we think that person's off base. That person doesn't make sense. They're far out. They're weird. Doesn't make sense. We even think of it as an evil word when we put the word those before it. Those radicals. But radical has a very interesting story. It's linked with the word radish. Latin. It means the root. To go back to the root, to form the root. And when we look for our radical love, when we think of where our root was formed in love, we look at where love came down at Christmas. That's a hymn that we sing. We kind of sang it this morning. Hope was born on Christmas. Love was born on Christmas. It's the same thing. And when we look at the root of our love, we see Jesus who came at Christmas. I jokingly have said before that Christians don't believe that there was love before Jesus came. Like it wasn't really a thing. No one fell in love. But that's not the case. The reason we say love came down at Christmas or hope was born at Christmas is because that's where our root lies. That's where we base all of what we do there. We base how we act, how we talk to each other, how we pray. All of those things go back to Jesus. We could even pinpoint a more exact moment and a more exact time, not just during Jesus' life, but a particular event when he said to God, yes, I'm willing to sacrifice myself so that all of my friends, all of these people that I've never even met, can live an eternal and wonderful life with you, God, my Father. Jesus is the root. Jesus is the root of our love. And we're going to go back to that root. We are going back to that root of incredible, radical love. It's with this idea that John was playing with, that he was living with when he wrote this letter in 1 John. 1 John 4, verse 14 through 19. And we have seen and testified that the Father has sent his Son to be the Savior of the world. Hope was born on Christmas, is what he's saying. If anyone acknowledges that Jesus is the Son of God, God lives in them and they in God. And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. This is how love is made complete among us, so that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. And we love because he first loved us. May God bless this reading as we use it this morning and we mess around with it and try and figure out what it means. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. I like basketball. I like games. That's why we played a game to start. I really like those things. And I've been playing basketball since high school. In high school, I wasn't really that good, to be completely honest. I'm mostly skin and bones. It's pretty easy to push me out of the way. So I just wasn't that good. But one day I decided I'm going to be the best shooting guard there ever was. All you have to do is shoot, right? You don't have to run into people. It's awesome. So I put the work in. I woke up every morning just a bit early, and I took hundreds of shots. That summer I took thousands of shots, shot after shot after shot. And by the end of the summer, my motion was smooth. The release was perfect. The sound of the ball hitting just the net was automatic. When the season came around, I knew that I was going to make my mark on Northern Indiana high school basketball. Yeah. So the first game came, right? And I'm ready. I'm ready to take my shots. And the ball comes to me. I grab it. I shoot. Oh, it feels good going up. And it goes around the basket and comes out. Okay, better luck next time, right? So I take it again, and I shoot, and it bounces off the front of the rim. The third one comes to me. The third one comes, and I shoot it, and it just hits the backboard. The fourth one. Here we go. The fourth one. I catch it. Again, feels good going out. It looks so good, and it's nothing but net as I airball it. See, game time is very different than just shooting around. Instead of just focusing on that beautiful sight of the ball going in the net and the beautiful sound it makes, there were a million other things running through my mind. The ball didn't bounce to me just right. That kind of messed me up. The ball didn't bounce to me right. That was the reason. Oh, and there was a guy running at me with his hands up, right? And my coach was on the bench saying, "Luke, don't shoot right." Okay. And I was already shooting. And then there were thoughts, my own thoughts. If I miss this fourth shot, my friends are going to think I'm a ball hog. Oh, and speaking of being a ball hog, there's a guy open at the post right now. And what if this basket is just like a little bit different than mine in the gym? Oh, what if this one's like an inch shorter? Or what if that girl is looking at me? Oh, is she? She's going to watch me fail. Shooting a basketball, I believe, is a very personal matter. If you're taking smart shots, there is no one else involved. There should be no one else involved. You've probably seen, you probably know of an athlete who seems to be brimming over with confidence. They can do no wrong. They take those tremendously difficult shots and they make them. They make a diving catch in the end zone while getting plastered. It's the guy that taps in a goal while he's getting his legs taken out. It's awesome. It is awe-inspiring. Those are the players that all fans want on their team. We often think that they have more talent than anybody else. I don't think that's the case. The only difference is that they are the ones who focus only on the ball. All that they care about. That's of primary importance. Whatever happens to them as a result, if they get hit as a result, that's secondary. They have no control over that. What they can control is letting the ball go into the basket. Those are the players that we say play for the love of the game. They looked for those possibilities that they loved, and they went for it all in. And we're given those opportunities too, to go all in. And we can focus on the pain that we might feel. We can fill our thoughts with the fears of the consequences. We can fear that something that we love will be taken from us. Or we can turn our focus towards the basket. We can focus on that which is of primary importance to us. We can focus on that which we love. There is no fear in love. But perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. When you turn that focus outwards, when you love something so strongly, nothing else matters. When you give your love as the most important thing, fear doesn't have a place. You don't have time to be afraid because you're so busy loving. Yes, there are scary things in this world. There are. We can allow it to bind us, to shackle us, to catch us, and dictate our lives. And that, simply put, is losing. In the words of W. Clement Stone, thinking will not overcome fear. Only action will. This morning we thought about fear. I told you about fear. There was no action here besides my movements. This won't banish our fears, what we've done this morning. Only action will. And I'll give you guys an action. Love. Love is an action. If it's really love, it's an action. It's not just, oh, yeah, I love it. It's an action. So how can you look forward to this week? Concretely planning actions of love. This week we have the new year, right? With the new year, we often make resolutions. A lot of these resolutions are very inwardly focused. Personal betterment things. This new year, I'm going to work out 2 times a week. That's not a bad thing. It's good to want to be better. But take this challenge. Make a resolution to love, to make an action of love. Make sure the focus goes out when you do this. A simple and fairly annoying, an incredibly annoying way to do this to yourself, I strongly urge you do it, is to repeatedly ask yourself why. Why do you do that? Drive at that purpose. Find that goal. So you might see that you found this path accidentally. I'm going to work out 2 times a week. Why are you going to do that? So I can lose weight. Why? So I can feel better about myself. Why? I fear that I'm unhealthy. I fear that I look fat. I've got a bad self-image. I'm not saying you shouldn't work out. Please work out if that's what you want to do. If it's because you're afraid of everything, that's not a good way to do it. Living in the fear of being unhealthy is not a good thing. It's unhealthy. So if that's your resolution, do it. Please work out. But make an additional one. And let's make this additional one together. Or practice an additional one together. I'm going to mow my neighbor's yard once a month. Why would you do that, Luke? Well, I'm going to do that because they're old. Why? Because God made them old. I don't know. It's not a very good reason, right? All of these need to be followed with a so that. That's not a purpose. No one's purpose in life is to be old, I don't think. So let's go back and ask the question again. I'm going to mow my neighbor's yard once a month. Why? So that they will get to know me. Why? So that they will begin to learn who I am. Why? So that they will have a new understanding of my God. Why? So that they will come to a deep understanding and a deep love for Him. It's simple, really. We do everything for a reason. And we're all here. We're all in this church for a reason. I'm privileged to call many of you friends. I like all of you. But here's a fact. I'm not here to make friends. That is not the most important thing to me. I'm here for exactly 2 reasons. The first, to love the Lord my God with all my heart, with all my soul, and all my strength. And the second is just like this. To love my neighbor as myself. How will you love in 2016?